Welcome back students. So today we are going to discuss about applying a resolution. So what we have discussed till now is whenever we have to answer any question or satisfy any goal, there are two methods that we can apply. The first method is called chaining and the second method is called resolution. So we have already discussed that chaining can be subdivided into two categories: forward chaining and backward chaining. Okay, so we have already discussed the examples of backward chaining. Forward chaining we will be discussing as and when it will be required. For applying forward chaining or backward chaining, what we have to do is we have to gather facts. We have to convert these facts to appropriate predicates, right? So forward chaining or backward chaining works on the basis of predicates directly. We have also discussed that if it is backward chaining, then we are going to start from the goal and then supporting the facts, supporting the appropriate facts, we will try to prove that goal is correct, it is true, with the support of all the facts we have. Okay, and in forward chaining what we are doing is we are using all the facts, and using those facts we will try to prove that goal is correct, right? So this is how forward chaining and backward chaining, which we have discussed, is working. Now we have seen the examples how we can convert facts to appropriate predicates, which is very important. Now we are going to discuss about resolution. So if we have to apply resolution, which is very important, then once again what we are going to have will be facts. So these are the facts which will be given to us and that will be readily available. The first step is we have to convert them to appropriate predicates. Now these predicates are the same predicates we have discussed over here. So the first step of chaining as well as resolution remains the same. Facts are going to be converted to predicates. The second step after which is convert these predicates to C and F, that is conjunctive, normal, form. So what we have to do is convert the predicates to C and F, that is conjunctive normal form. Now once the conjunctive normal form is available, you can apply resolution. And using the resolution, we are going to prove whether the given goal is correct or not. So basically how resolution is working, if we compare the power of backward chaining and resolution, resolution is more powerful. But the methodology is entirely different. How it is different? Resolution works in the principle of negation. So how it is working? If suppose I have to prove that today is Monday. Suppose I want to prove that today is Monday. What I am going to, in resolution, what I am going to do? In resolution, I will assume that today is not Monday. And then using the facts, all the supports of the fact, ultimately I will prove that I have found contradiction. I have found contradiction, and as I have reached to contradiction using all the facts I already have, what I am going to prove is today is not Monday is false, and hence what is true? Today is Monday. Are you getting this? So basically resolution works on the basis of negation. Now how we have to apply negation, how we have to use conjunctive normal form, we are going to discuss now. So already in the last lecture we have discussed algorithm or steps which are going to be used for converting predicates to C and F form. So there has been some 9-10 steps, out of which there are 2 to 3 steps which are going to be very useful, which we are going to apply in all the examples. So that we are going to discuss today as well. So before we discuss applying resolution to facts and resolution to facts, what we are going to do is we are going to apply resolution to preposition logic. So let us see a simple example of resolution and then we are going to discuss the algorithm of resolution also. So what we are going to do right now is apply resolution in prepositional logic. So what is prepositional logic? We already know that when we are talking about certain axioms and we are trying to prove something, it is prepositional logic. So let us take the axioms we are going to work with. So let me say these are the axioms. We have the first is P is true. The second says P and Q implies R. The third says S or T implies Q. and the fourth one says T. Okay. Now what we have to do? We have to convert these preposition axioms to appropriate CNF form first of all. So what we have to do is convert these axiom to conjunctive normal form. So see, even if we are using prepositional logic, the steps we are going to convert to are going to remain same. So the first one, P, if you convert to conjunctive normal form, it don't contain any implication, it don't contain any other operators, and hence it will remain as it is. So P will be P itself. It is something like if I'll say man Marcus, then man Marcus as a predicate and as a CNF form, it is going to remain the same. Okay, now we will be talking about the second. P and Q implies R. If I'll say A implies B, and if I have to convert that to equivalent CNF form, what I'm going to do, as we have discussed in the last lecture, the first left part will be negated and the implication will be converted to OR. So A implies B will be converted to not A or B. Exactly. So here what we are going to do, the entire left hand side, it is going to be converted to not. So it will be not P and Q, and then implication will be converted to R. What is next step? Not should be applied to individual atoms we have. So here also not will be applied, here also, and will be converted to OR. If you can remember, if I have A and B, if I am going to negate it, it will be converted to not A and will be OR, and this will be not B. Similarly, if I have A or B, and if I'll be negating it, it will be negated A, or will be converted to and negated B. This is what we had discussed in last lecture as well in detail. So this will be converted like not P or not Q or R. Do we need to apply any other operator over here? Associative, distributive operator concepts we have to use? No, because the only operator we are having over here is OR. It is something like if you have A plus B plus C, you have the same operator, so no other rule need to be applied. So this will remain as it is. Okay. The third one says S or T implies Q. So once again negation applied to S or T, and implication will be converted to OR and Q. Okay. Now if you apply negation to individual atoms, then it will be not S, then OR will be converted to AND, not T, and then OR Q. Now see, you have here AND and here OR. So you cannot directly open the bracket. Are you getting this? You cannot directly open the bracket because there are two different operators. It is something like if I have A and B or C, then I cannot write this as A and B or C. They are not equivalent because operators are different. This is going to be converted to A or C, then in between you have and B or C. It is something like A or C, and then conjunction, and in other bracket B or C. Are you getting this? A will be OR with C, then B will be OR with C, and this AND will be in between. Are you getting this? So what will happen with this one? So this one will be converted to not S or Q, and not T or Q. So this is what we'll get after applying not to each and every individual element. Now what we had discussed in applying conjunctive normal form, if you have conjunction in between, then both predicates should be considered separately. So this will be converted as the first part is not S or Q, and the second part is not T or Q. So the third clause will be converted to 3A and 3B separately. Let me repeat. We negated the first left hand side OR with Q. Now negation will be applied to individual element, and that's why OR will be converted to AND. Now as we have different operators, see, it is not same. Earlier it was OR, so bracket could have been opened directly. But here we cannot, because we have to apply the distributive property over here. So what will happen? Not S or Q, not T or Q, and in between what you have is called AND. Exactly. Now as you have conjunction in between, both the clauses which are AND together will be considered as separate clauses. So this is a separate clause and this is a separate clause as we have written over here. And finally fourth number, T will remain as it is as T. Now what we are going to prove over here? Let us see. You have to prove that R is true. Okay, what you have to prove is R is true. Now when you apply resolution works on the principle of, yes, negation. So to prove R, what I am going to assume is not R. Means I am going to assume that not R is true. Okay. Now for applying resolution, what you have to do? For applying resolution, every time we are first of all discussing example, then we are going to discuss the algorithm also. So let us assume not R is true. Now what you have to do for applying resolution? Go back to your facts. So we are going to observe here our CNF facts. Identify any clause which contains, if you have one of the clause over here not R, try to find out the positive R in any of the clause present over here. Let me repeat what we are going to do in resolution. Up to apply resolution, you are searching for two clauses. You are searching for two clauses such that the one clause will be in negative sense and the other is in positive sense. So it is something like one, if you have one clause as A, then negated A, the other should be A. If these kind of clauses are there, we are going to take them and we will be calling them parent clauses. Parent clauses. We will select such clauses such that one of is negated, one of them is positive, and we will couple them and call them parent clauses, and we will apply resolution between them. Okay. So whatever is generated is called resolvent. Okay. So what is going to be resolvent? If you have negated A and A, means if I will tell you that today is Monday and then I will tell you today is not Monday, both are true. Is it possible? No. Why? Because I have found contradiction. Both cannot be true at the same time, and hence we will call over here null. Contradiction is found, and hence whenever contradiction is found, whatever we have assumed is wrong, and hence what is right? R. Let me repeat the steps. What we are going to do over here? If we have negated R over here, I am going to pick up a clause from my knowledge base where the opposite one is available. So this is one of the goal is going to be by default one of the parent clause. Goal is always going to be by default one of the parent clause. But we are considering, as we are applying resolution, we have considered over here negated R. Okay. So from all the facts we have, I have to identify a clause which has positive R. So if you observe this, see this one, then positive R is there. So what the clause I am going to pick up is not P or not Q or R. That is step number 2. So these both, if you consider both of them as parent clauses, how parent clauses are selected? Well, let me repeat once again. Whatever goal you have, that should be negated. That negation of the goal will be considered by default as one of the parent clause. Then go back to facts that you have, CNF facts you have, and identify the one of a clause such that the reverse of it is present. Reverse of negated R is positive R. So find out, do it have positive R? No. Do it have positive R? Yes. Do it have positive R? No. Positive R? No. So there is a single clause available where positive R is present. Only such clause can be selected as parent clause. Are you getting what I am trying to say? Any other clause cannot be picked up. Only you have to pick up a clause where there is an atom available which is entirely opposite of what you have already available in the first parent clause. So with negated R, positive R I have chosen in the clause as the parent clause. How resolution is applied? When you apply resolution, the reverse contradiction that you have found, in our case is negated R and positive R, that is going to be cancelled out. Just like in mathematics, if I have -5 plus 5, then I am going to cancel it because it is going to generate 0. Similarly, if I will say man Marcus, not man Marcus, both cannot be true at the same time. So we are going to eliminate that fact entirely because it is contradictory. So not R and positive R, it is going to be cancelled out. What is remaining now? Remaining is called resolvent, not P or not Q. So this what we have generated after applying the first phase of resolution is called resolvent. So how resolution is applied over here? First of all, goal, negated goal is considered as first parent clause. Then from the clauses identify one of the clause where the reverse of the whatever clause we have is available. Then what we have to do, pick up such a clause. So if you have negated R over here, pick up a clause which has positive R, and that positive R should be available in one of the clause that should be selected as the parent clause. Okay, you'll see more examples, it will be more clear. Now apply resolution. So while we are resolving them, what we are going to do, negated R and positive R, they are going to be cancelled out. So what is remaining? Not P or not Q. Okay, now once again we have to repeat the algorithm. So what we are going to do over here, search either there are two prepositions for which we are going to search for the reverse possibility. So if we pick up not P, find out any clause where positive P is available. Do you have any clause where positive P is available? Yes, it is available in 1 itself. So if you select P1, the first clause, and if you try to resolve them together, then what is going to happen? Once again, negated P and positive P both are contradiction, so they are going to be cancelled out. So what is remaining? Not Q. So not Q is called your resolvent after applying resolution. Now what you have to do once again? What you have to do once again? You have to refer to all the clauses you have and find out a clause where you have reverse of this. That parent clause should be selected. So positive Q, yes, positive Q is available in this also and this also. But you should be smartly selecting clause. If I select not S or Q, then later I have to search for S, which is not available anywhere. Are you getting this? Positive S as a fact is nowhere available. So that at that point I am going to be stuck. But if I select not T or Q, then positive T is available as one of the fact over here. So that will work out. So which one we are going to pick up? 3B. What is that? It is not T or Q. So the parent clause which I have selected with not Q is not T or Q. So Q and not Q, they will cancel out. Now what is our resolvent? Not T. That is our resolvent. Okay. Now once again, if I repeat positive algorithm, what I have to do? With negative T, I have to search for one of the clause which contains positive T. Do we have any? Yes, over here in 4. So if you apply a resolution between them, means not T and T, then contradiction is found, nothing is remaining over here, and hence what we are going to declare over here is we have generated null. That is, we have generated contradiction, right? And that's why we can say that not R is not true and hence R is true. Are you getting this? So how we have applied resolution over here? First of all the axioms which we have converted to CNF form. Then whatever goal is given to us, that is negated and converted to CNF form. Then what we are going to do, the negated CNF of goal will be converted as one of the parent clause. You have to select another parent clause from the available facts you have, such that whatever preposition you have available over here, that atom's opposite should be available in the clause. So if I have not R here, I have to search a clause where I have positive R. So we have picked up this first of all. When you apply resolution, what is going to happen? The contradiction is going to be cancelled out from both parent clauses, and whatever is remaining in both parent clauses, let me repeat, whatever is remaining in both parent clauses, all the remaining things you have will be all together. See, in our case here it is not R only, it has nothing which is going to be added to resolvent, but if you have anything in this clause also, then that is also going to be added in resolvent with OR. We'll see such examples, so it will be more clear. Once again, what we have to do, whatever resolvent is generated, whatever atoms it has, you have to search for the reverse of it. So if I'll pick up not P, I'll have to search for P in one of the clauses. Selecting that particular clause as a parent clause and apply resolution and generate the resolvent. Once again, search for the clause which has the reverse axiom available, clause available. So for not Q, I'll be searching for positive Q. And again apply resolution, generate the resolvent and go on until either you will reach to contradiction, that is null, or no progress is possible. Are you getting this? So this is how resolution is actually applied in preposition logic, and the same algorithm is applied if you have to apply resolution even with the facts and predicates. Okay, so before we are going to discuss resolution formally with the facts and predicates, we are going to discuss the same example we did. We are going to discuss that in the form of algorithm. In few of the question paper they have asked, write down the algorithm of resolution for prepositional logic. So what we are going to discuss now is algorithm for prepositional logic. So what we are going to, what steps we have to follow, that we are going to discuss over here. So first step. What was the first step we did? Convert all facts to conjunctive normal form, that is also called close form. Whatever facts you have, convert all those form to conjunctive normal form, or we can even call it close form. What is the second step that you have to apply? That take the goal, let us say goal is G or P, let us say. Now negate P, and after negating, see, this is very important, please focus properly. Take the goal, let us say our goal is P, then first of all negate P, and after negating P, convert it to close form. Okay, now that close form is nothing but CNF form that we have discussed, conjunctive normal form, the algorithm which we had discussed in the last lecture. So convert all facts first of all to CNF close form, then take the goal, let us assume goal is P, then first of all negate P, and then convert our goal also to negated goal to conjunctive normal form. Then what you have to do? Then you have to apply the loop, that repeat until either contradiction is found or no progress is possible. Either contradiction is found or no progress is possible. If the contradiction is found, then we have proved that whatever we have assumed, that negated P is wrong, and hence P is proved. And no progress is possible means you don't have enough facts available for proving whatever goal you have to prove. Okay, now we will move ahead inside the loop. Inside loop, what steps we are going to perform? So what we have to do now, that out of the goal, negated goal, that is the negated CNF of goal, it will be considered as first parent close. Okay, now what we are going to do as a B, then select other, or let us say second parent close, such that negated atoms are available in each. Means if the goal has A, then the other parent will have somehow not A. So suppose the goal says A or B, and this is not A or X, and if you are going to apply resolution between them, then A and not A is going to be cancelled out. What is remaining? B and X. So B or X, that is going to be resolvent. Are you getting this? So select the other second parent clause such that negated atoms are available in each, both the parent clauses. Okay. The third step we are going to apply is resolve parent clauses by. How we are going to resolve them? Resolve the parent clauses such that the contradicting atoms from both parent clauses. That is, in earlier example, it is A and not A. Parent clauses will be eliminated. And whatever is remaining in both parent clauses will be combined, that is ORed, and that will be called resolvent. Are you getting this? Resolve parent clauses such that the contradicting atoms from both the parent clauses, in our example it was A and not A, it is going to be eliminated, and whatever is remaining in both parent clauses, that is B and X, that is going to be ORed, it is going to be combined, and this is going to be called as the resolvent. Keep on repeating the process until you get, if the resolvent is empty, then contradiction is found. Okay. If not, means if contradiction is not found, then what you have to do? Go to step number 3. Means once again what you have to do is repeat and select the parent clause and keep on repeating the procedure. So this is how we are going to search for contradiction, and if the contradiction is available, then we can prove that whatever is our goal, means negated goal is not true and positive goal is true. So these are the steps which we are going to apply. Sorry, we are not going to repeat to step number 3, but it is going to repeat to step number 3b. So it will again go to select the other parent clause which will have one of the negated atom available. We'll once again apply resolution, keep on resolving until either you have contradiction or you realize that no progress is possible, and hence we should stop over here, we should finish over here. So this is the algorithm for resolution that we are going to apply for prepositional logic. Now we are going to discuss the basic of resolution for the facts and predicates that we are actually going to apply to. Okay, so let us take few of the basic examples how we are going to apply to it. Okay, so let me say, if I'll have something like winter or summer, either we can have winter or we can have summer. That is one of the fact. The other fact says winter means you are going to have cold, so winter implies cold. But if you convert this to CNF form, this will be negated, so it will be winter or cold. Okay, now suppose you have to apply resolution with these two only, then you can observe over here you have negated atom available, so these two can be selected as parent clauses. So if you select like this, then what is going to happen? Winter or summer, that is one of the parent clause, and not winter or cold, that is another parent clause. I am just explaining the example of resolution, how it is going to apply with the facts. So what is going to happen? Once again, we have selected two parent clauses such that the atom is available in positive node also and negative node also. So contradiction is readily available. So whatever contradiction we have, that is going to be eliminated. What is remaining? That is going to be combined or ORed. So the resolvent is going to be summer or cold. Are you getting this? So what we have done over here, we have selected the parent clauses such that we have one of the positive atom available and one of the negative atom available, so that the contradiction can be eliminated and resolvent can be found. So if the resolvent is empty, contradiction is found, we are going to stop over there. For example, if you end up something like this, winter and not winter, and then you have to apply resolution to them. So what is going to be resolvent? You don't have anything available over here to be ORed in both of the parent clauses. So actually it is the contradiction found. Winter and not winter both cannot be true at the same time, and hence we can say either you can select this symbol for contradiction or you can write down null also. This indicates that contradiction is found. So this is how actually we are going to apply resolution. Now for applying resolution to predicates, we have to consider the concept of unification also. Now what is unification? Let me describe unification. So see, predicates which you use are of the form something like this. Let us say man, Marcus. Man, let us say Joe. Man, let us say X. Okay. Now unification means I can say two facts can be said equal. So if I will be talking about these two facts, man Marcus and man Joe, are they any way possible that they are going to point to the same information? They can be unified. They can be considered as the same kind of information. See, both have the same predicate name, that is true. But if you observe to argument you are passing, the argument which you are passing over here is atom. That is fixed value, not variable. Here you are talking about Marcus is man and here you are talking about Joe is man. So both are different facts. Both cannot be considered as the same fact at any level. Hence both cannot be unified. You cannot unify. Unifying means proving both are same. Unification means proving both are same, possibly same. So man Marcus and Joe Marcus is man and Joe is man, both are different facts and they cannot be considered as the same fact. But if you talk about man X and you are talking about Marcus man, then X is a variable and X can hold value Marcus. So if the value of X is considered as Marcus, means if X will be holding the value of Marcus, in that case what will happen if I replace X by Marcus? Then man Marcus. So these both will be same. Are you getting this? So these both are unifiable. These both can be said equal if and only if the value of X is considered as Marcus. Similarly over here, if you try to unify these two, then what will happen? If you have the value of X as Joe, if the value of X is Joe, then X will be replaced by Joe, and in that case man Joe. Both can be considered as equal. So unification is only possible when the value of X is Joe. But if I'll tell you that I have some predicate man such that Joe, comma, let us say some X, means my predicate's name is same, but the number of argument I am passing is different. Is it possible that you can unify it with this one or this one? No, I cannot say this predicate is similar to any of this. Why? Even if Joe in Joe is present over here, the same fact we are talking about, this has single parameter while this has two parameters. So unification between the predicates is only possible when first of all predicate name is same, then second is the number of argument you have is same. Number of argument you have is same. Third condition, if any of the argument is atom, then the atom should be exactly same. If it is variable, then it is the other thing. But if you have it as atom, then atom should also be same. Are you getting this? So this is called unification. So if you once again what we are trying to prove by unification, we are trying to prove that both are basically same. So what we are going to discuss over here now is called the algorithm of unification. Two facts are said to be equal if unification can be applied on them. So that is what we are going to discuss now. Okay, fine. So we are going to discuss this from the book now. So let me explain the unification over here. So if you observe, then the first step says that unification algorithm is taking two parameters L1 and L2. Unification is taking two parameters L1 and L2. So what it is trying to prove? Let me explain with example. The algorithm will be discussing in the next lecture. So what it says, suppose I am talking about winter, okay, and the other clause I want to unify is summer. Can you unify both of them? It has no argument available. Both are constants. Both are atoms only. Can you unify them? No. Why? Because both are different. Winter cannot be unified with summer. So if you have two atoms, both should be exactly same. So it should be over here winter only. Okay. If I am trying to unify winter with x, where x is variable, unification is possible only when the value of x can be winter. Then unification is possible. Are you getting this? Suppose you have one of the one of the variable x is available and another is, let us say, x, y. Okay, and you try to unify them, then also unification is not possible because x is part of x, y. Okay, so replacement is not going to be possible. So in this case, unification will fail. Okay, the same way if I am trying to have a ruler Joe, okay, and if I try to unify ruler Joe with man Joe, is it possible? No, because the name of the predicates are different. So first of all, if you have this without argument, atoms are available, the atoms should be having the exactly same name. If you have variables, then the variable should not be part of the second variable as a list, but it should be standalone variable, then it can take the value, then unification is possible. If you have predicates available with argument, then the name of predicate should be exactly same, then only the unification is possible. Once again, if the name of the predicate is same, if it is not same, then it will fail, unification will fail. If it is same, the number of arguments should be same. Once the number of arguments are not same, then also it will fail. If number of arguments are same, then one of them should be either if argument is atomic value, the atomic value should be same. If not, then the variable should be holding the value, atom value, then only unification will be possible. So this is the algorithm of unification. In few of the GTU papers it has been asked. So this is what we will be discussing in next lecture, how unification algorithm can be applied. We are going to write these steps properly so you can understand it properly, and then we are going to discuss this algorithm of resolution in predicate logic. Earlier we have discussed resolution in prepositional logic. So this algorithm is same as the algorithm of resolution in prepositional logic. Only instead of using the prepositions, now we are going to use the predicates, otherwise simple. So what we will do, first of all we will discuss unification algorithm, then we will have some examples of resolution, and after discussing examples we will be discussing this algorithm, so it will be very easy for you to understand. So that's all for today's lecture. We will be discussing about unification and examples of resolution and the algorithm of resolution in next lecture. So please do refer to concepts properly. Whatever examples we have solved, do solve those examples properly. If you get any doubt or query, then please don't hesitate. Drop your questions and queries by whatever mode you are comfortable with. Keep watching. Thank you. Stay healthy and happy.